Hi, welcome to this news episode of Sports Talk Central. I'm your host, Adeep Mahmood. My normal co-host Hunter isn't here, but Trusted Bank Podcast is here to be for a guest host, and we're going to be talking a lot about Ravens. We're going to be, but first, before we talk about Ravens, let's talk about the trade that happened today with Devante Parker. What were your thoughts on that?
It's a great trade. It's a great trade. I hate that it wasn't our trade, but I'm a big fan of Devontae Parker and the Patriots, they drafted N'Keal Harry a few years ago to be that bigger body wide receiver. He never was. Nothing against him, but Devontae Parker's gonna be really good for them, and I think the Dolphins got a decent haul. Getting a third round pick in this year's draft. They now have two firsts, 1 second, and two thirds now. So I thought that was a great move. I was a bit disappointed though because I wanted Devontae.
What were your
Yeah,
thoughts?
most definitely, man. I was very upset to see the move. I was like, looking on Instagram, oh, Adam Schefter, Devontae Parker is going to New England. I'm like, oh man, there it goes. Mac Jones and got another serviceable wide receiver that's going to make him look a little better. But honestly, that's a New England move. I mean, I can't be mad at it at all. I definitely would have loved him being in the purple and black. I know it was said that he kind of wanted to be with the Ravens organization. I don't know how true that was, but shout outs to him. Shout outs to the New England organization of doing what they do best is making trades out of the woodwork and getting serviceable guys and having a serviceable scheme that can get them wins, and that's exactly what they're going to do with Devontae Parker at wide receiver for Mac Jones.
Yeah, I think Devontae Parker was a smart move because Ravens, Steelers, Patriots, they rarely make the big splash move that like they don't. They're rarely the team that goes like does stuff like the Rams. So I think Devontae Parker was like right in their wheelhouse of someone they needed really to really help that offense, but at the same time, it's not going to hurt their ability to draft and still they're still in good position for a Drake London or a Traylon Burks. I mean, I like that they actually now have size, and obviously, to me, this is a big thing of yeah, they probably regret the N'Keal Harry draft pick. Like they probably that probably is one of those things of I mean, as Ravens fans, prior to the last couple of years, how we were thirsty for receivers. It was like one of those things where it's like we wanted a certain type of guy, and then it's like then we find out that oh yeah, they're not really that like you know how in baseball there's that transition between there's like a triple A, guys who are really good at triple A, and then guys in they can't figure out in the majors. You have guys like I think N'Keal Harry was one of those guys that was really good at Arizona State, but then in the NFL he wasn't able to figure it out. And I think there's a guy from NC State. I think a lot of Ravens fans wanted. I can't remember Kelvin something from NC State. He was another guy that the Ravens fans wanted, but he hasn't really done much. I mean, so to me, I think I like the trade from the Patriots perspective. It was a little surprising that the Dolphins traded him to the Patriots. But I mean, they also did trade. I wouldn't didn't they trade Isaiah Ford at one point a couple years ago to the Patriots as well, or was that to another team?
I don't know for sure. We can always double check though.
I can't remember. I know someone tweeted out Bill Belichick's made like 6 trades with the Dolphins in his history. Yeah, he did trade a seventh rounder for Isaiah Ford.
Yeah, so I mean that's like so it does seem like it is a good trade. I mean, so we'll see what they do there. I mean, Dolphins. I mean, obviously you had the Xavier Howard extension. That was to clear up some space. Now, what they do is, I mean, obviously J.C. Tretter's available. They might be looking for another. There might be other pieces as well. So obviously we're all in this time right now of here are guys we expect to be signed or they were cut. They were cut like if they were cut, we expected them to be picked up within a week, but they're still on the market. So I think what the Dolphins are doing is good. They're definitely playing the market. What I would call playing the market right. And so
Yeah.
kind of going into it. What was your? Let's just talk about Steve Biscotti's comments. Obviously, he spoke with the media for the first time in a long time. He talked about Lamar's contract. He talked about the Harbaugh getting extended. You talked about the draft process, what he was looking for. What were your main takeaways from all of that? All of those comments?
I think overall the comments in the organization have been somewhat disappointing to me in the fact that in regards to Lamar Jackson's extension, they keep saying like Eric's gonna handle it, right? Like, obviously we want Lamar, but this is in Eric's hands. And I think that's a little bit disappointing because you want your owner in those conversations. You want your owner reaching out to them as much as possible. Look at the greatest of all time, Tom Brady. He was great friends with Robert Kraft. Bill Belichick, the general manager and the head coach, wanted to get rid of Tom Brady. And Tom Brady was like, yo, Robert Kraft, get rid of Jimmy Garoppolo. Like, no, we ain't doing that. And so Robert Kraft was like, Bill Belichick, you trade this man or you're fired. Like, having that type of, communication between, owner and, star player, the future of the team, I think is really important. So I wish that they were a little bit more like, yeah, we're all trying to get it done. We're all in those meetings. And I know that he's talked about, him, Harbaugh, and EDC, or, they're working together. They're a team and they see themselves as a team. But I want to see more, assertiveness when it comes to getting Lamar extended. But I did like his comments about Lamar Jackson and like, that kid just wants to win. So I did like that, but I wish he was more like, assertive in trying to get with Lamar Jackson, but maybe he is, and he's just not saying it. So I don't know.
Well, I mean, we do know that the Ravens organization are good for, throwing a lot of smoke screen out there. But, me personally, if I'm the owner of the organization, it would be me, it would be Sashi Brown, it would be John Harbaugh, it would be EDC. You know what, Lamar? I'm not all about. And don't get it twisted. I'm not all about handing this blank check and just write your number. No, let's see what do you actually want? Where do you see yourself with this team in the next 5, 6, 7 years? And what are your expectations from us as an organization to satisfy your needs? Because at the end of the day, we see you as our franchise QB, and we want nothing but the best for you. Because honestly, the statement of, wow, man, I wish Cleveland didn't give Deshaun Watson all that money and everything like that. It's like, it sounds like y'all been throwing deals, and Lamar has been saying no. And if it's been under 250, I can understand why. Because honestly, yes, we had maybe one of the best QBs that knows how to come alive in the playoffs. When Joe Cool came alive in January, we all know what time it was. He was going to get some of the best play out of Joe Flacco. That's totally understandable. But now you done got a generational player that can change the game in an instant. We saw what happened in that Cleveland Browns game when he went down. He had to come back and finish the job and get it done for us to get a win. We saw what happened, the first time, he played against Miami. We saw what happened when he did his first Jackson 5. Even the jump ball to Hollywood. So he's a game changer. You have to make things happen. And just shout out to Lamar too, going to one of the illustrious HBCUs, Morgan State University. Yes, I used to go there, but I'm a Bowie Bulldog at this point. But he was living it up, he was having fun. So I don't know how these talks are going to go. I mean, when you see Deshaun Watson getting a deal, you see Patrick Mahomes getting a deal. Yes, he's a Super Bowl winner, but then you see guys like Josh Allen get a deal. That it's like, well, dang, Josh ain't been in the league long as me. And he getting money. Now, if Joey B gets a big deal, I know that's that may be crazy, but if Cincinnati say, you know what, Joey, we like you, we want you, we think you are a guy for the next 10 years. Let's go ahead and get this deal signed. And we don't get that contract extension before that. If I'm Lamar, I'm leaving. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no. So I think for me, like this whole offseason, I've been trying to find a good comparison to kind of look at how the Ravens operate their business. Like Makana, to your point about Steve Biscotti getting it firsthand, I think what the thing of Ravens fans need to get some understanding of is that Steve Biscotti made his money off founding Aerotech, which is a staffing agency. He's also been a part of the boards for like similar companies. So I always think about how the owner makes his money, and then from there, how he manages the sports team. And if you look at how the Ravens have a draft first philosophy they develop, they look at all these process, like it's very process oriented, and you go back to how Steve Biscotti made his money, it's not really surprising to see him being hands on. It's not like he's not like Steve Cohen from the Mets, where Steve Cohen's on Twitter all the time and he's bad mouthing certain play. He was bad mouthing Kumar Rocker, saying that a certain he was looking at players in terms of value. Bishotti's not like that. So when he does, like to your last this last thing you said, I think he's kind of speaking through EDC. Like he's all for signing Lamar. I thought it was telling that he said we will pay him when he wants to pay when he wants to be paid, and not when we will negotiate with him. So I think he's carefully choosing his words, and I think the problem is that Lamar doesn't have an agent, and I think that's kind of one of the biggest problems of how do you negotiate a contract with your star quarterback, but you're in a position where you might have to criticize him to a degree, but normally you have a buffer there. And I'm all for Lamar not having an agent. Like my point about Lamar representing himself is that he had an opportunity coming into the draft to get an agent, and he chose not to. Now, I respect his choice. Now, he must have his reasons. I don't think his reasons has changed. Now, you look at the position, the questions people had towards Lamar and what position he was going to play. And I think I actually put a comment on one of the live streams, and it was a comment basically. And I think you kind of misread it on the opposite side of things. My bad for not phrasing it, but it was pretty much more so of when he was being in the draft process, people were looking at him at other positions. So he wanted to play quarterback. He was going to get a chance to play quarterback. But when it came chance to get his money, it just came up to me the last few days about that whole idea of having someone with a financial incentive being there and might having to encourage you to go back from quarterback to receiver or whatever. I didn't think maybe he saw that and it's like, I don't want that, which is why he doesn't have an agent. And then also when you think about the agent, when you think about what he's done in the last few years, he's shown he could be a quarterback. So it's more so of not only did I not need you guys to get me to this point, I definitely don't need you guys anymore. So I think representing himself, that is a bit of a challenge. I think Eric DaCosta is all for keeping him. I think what happened with the negotiations is that there are three types of contracts you could sign. One is guaranteeing Lamar or guaranteeing a player a percentage of the salary cap per year. So it's like 20% of the salary cap per year for the next 5 years. I don't think they're doing that contract. I think it'll be a while before someone gets that contract. There's a fully guaranteed contract, which is what Deshaun Watson got, which is and then there's the 4 or 5 years high AAV 75-80% guaranteed. And I think what they were doing in the last year or so was kind of feeling out Lamar and saying what type of contract structure would you like. And I think maybe they were throwing out the fully guaranteed contract to him and he wasn't thrilled by it, or maybe it was like a 10-year deal or something. And then so when Biscotti made those comments, it kind of got me back to that point of, oh, I kind of wish the Browns didn't go and give him that fully guaranteed, because I think maybe Biscotti wants that more traditional contract. But now that Deshaun Watson is getting that fully guaranteed contract, maybe now the contract's going to morph more into that fully guaranteed, and maybe that's kind of why he would make that specific comment. I think people were kind of looking at it in slightly wrong. I do think he's going to get at least 200 million guaranteed. Like I think that's at the very least he'll get 200 million guaranteed. So that's where I thought was that one. But the other point I do want to bring up is that a good comparison with the Ravens is they are the Tampa Bay Rays of the NFL. And what I mean by the Tampa Bay Rays in that comparison is that when you think about the Tampa Bay Rays, and the Ravens, they're both analytically driven. They both are very process oriented. They both draft and develop guys really well. And it's almost, and then they've been so successful for so long, it's almost like it's mundane. It's almost like it's boring. So when you do see teams like the Rams, and when you do see teams make more exciting moves, you want your team to make those big exciting moves. So I think for me, I haven't really been too disappointed because my mindset has always been on the Ravens are the Rays of the NFL. And I think to me, once I put myself in that mindset, okay, now I can understand their moves. And now I can understand not like with Bobby Wagner, oh, they didn't get Bobby Wagner, but what they were able to do, what I liked about not getting Bobby, what I was fine with is then I took a look at the free agent options, and we can kind of move this into the what will the Ravens do now? I mean, this could be with Zadarius Smith and with Bobby Wagner and into the draft, but then I started looking at it. I'm like, oh, you lose out on Bobby Wagner, but then you say, oh, there's Anthony Barr, there's Kyle Van Noy, there's Dante Hightower, there's Devin Lloyd in the draft. There's N'Kobe Dean. So, kind of getting to the next point, what do you think the Ravens should do now for the remainder of the offseason? And this could be a draft discussion as well.
The Ravens are going to be really boring, is my expectation. I feel like they are going to sit and wait till the draft. Potential save some money for some potential cut candidates, in training camp. They may make a splash in the draft. My hope is that they trade up. But I don't expect them to really make any moves until that draft happens. Now, whether or not they go after Tyrann or they go after a Quan Alexander of sorts, it may be a little bit later. And I know Jadeveon Clowney's a guy who will not sign to a team until after training camp because he hates training camp. So maybe they're waiting on him. I don't know. But I feel like they're going to be very low-key, very Ravens style, and not try and go out and do everything that a lot of people may want them to do.
I mean, they definitely took me by surprise because honestly, I wasn't expecting any type of moves until draft or like June or July. So just the strength of them, going out there getting Marcus Williams, Morgan Moses, it had everybody, including myself, to say, "Well, dang, Marcus Williams and Morgan Moses, okay, the Ravens are all in." But honestly, I feel like we might. I feel like we definitely will make an offer to Quan Alexander. I do actually see us possibly making that aggressive trade with the Giants and moving up to the top 10, getting Kayvon Thibodeau. Because honestly, I don't see us drafting a linebacker early in the first 4 rounds. I mean, in the first 3 rounds, because me and McConnell and myself, we've been on edge rusher, corner. I guess with 3rd round we show love to the offense, and then 4th we just pretty much make our moves. So right now I do see us, getting Quan Alexander, maybe bringing back LJ Fort because I believe he was on a 1-year deal last year as well. Having those guys in the mix, but I feel like they're going to put a lot of trust in Malik Harrison and PQ this upcoming season as well. But I definitely feel like we want to make a move to get in the top 10 to bring in Kayvon Thibodeau.
Yeah, and I think that one of the things, especially when you have a team that doesn't draft in the top 15 as often as the Ravens do, I think what I feel like, especially with the 10 picks they have, I think they're going to try to put themselves in a position where they're not drafting in the top half of the draft for the next few years at least. And I think the Kayvon Thibodeau stuff makes sense because when you think about like the way I look at the free agency, I think maybe I'm thinking close to what the Ravens are doing. I'm kind of looking at the first round of the draft. It's best player available and relative to need, but it also, to me, is complementing what do you do in free agency. And to me, when you look at what they've done in free agency, they went out and got their free safety, Marcus Williams. They went out and got Michael Pierce. They went out and got Morgan Moses. They went out and tried to get Wagner, and they went out and tried to get Zadarius Smith. And obviously, Arden Key is with Jacksonville, and Rasheem Green's still available, but Rasheem Green might be a smokescreen to bring back Calais Campbell. I think, and then when you look at who they have in the defensive coordinator, Mike McDonald, where was he coaching mainly? With the Ravens, he was a linebackers coach. They brought in back Zach Orr. And you look at back at Michigan, and I think this is all kind of leading into my point about where I think they go in the first round. You go and I think we all can agree that having Aiden Hutchinson and David Ojabo definitely helped Mike McDonald and how he was able to use Dax Hill and how he was able to use the rest of his pieces. You got Odafe Owe, who's pretty much your David Ojabo type figure. I think all of this kind of leads into the idea of maybe Kayvon Thibodeau is their number one on the draft board, and maybe they recognize an opportunity of if he dropped out of the top 5, we got 10 draft picks. We can move up to 6, we can move up to 8, and we could have Kayvon Thibodeau and we could have Odafe Owe, and giving Mike McDonald those two pass rushers on the outside, and then start building in because you start looking at how he used Dax Hill, and then you start looking at Brandon Stevens. You see how Brandon Stevens could be used in a certain way. You see how Marcus Williams could be used in a certain way. So I think this might be a little bit of what they're trying to do with trying to replicate the key chess pieces at Michigan defense at the NFL level. And I think that's where they'll go in the first round. I think it's tough with the Ravens because I don't know if you guys have this feeling because obviously they hide certain things, they'll say certain things, and then they'll do something others. Because obviously we have the infamous quote last year from Eric DaCosta. We're happy with our receiver room, and then a few days later he drafts Rashad Bateman and Tylan Wallace. So when it's tough to say, and when it comes to leaks, this was leaked that they had this meeting with Kayvon Thibodeau. So to me, it's a key because either they want Thibodeau or they want to gas up Thibodeau's draft stock to have someone like a Jermaine Johnson or a Karlaftis available. But that to me is so what they will do now is I think they're going to go more towards the draft. They're going to rely more on the scouting reports. If they see certain information come out, maybe like a what's the guy's name? Like Devin Lloyd. Like maybe Devin Lloyd now becomes more valuable, and that impacts what moves they make in free agency. Because I think that it's very quiet now, like with what teams are doing. So it's gonna be pretty interesting there. I do want to show you guys. I think I put a comment a bit about another video by for Trey Turner. I think because we did talk about Devante Parker. I think Trey Turner is a guy that I think receiver wise, I think they're going to try go third, fourth round. I'm going to bring up highlights of Trey Turner. He's 6'1", 6'2", Virginia Tech, big play guy. But one of the things that he can do, and keep this in mind, when you see the highlights, Trey Turner, the Virginia Tech offensive coordinator, makes Greg Roman look like Sean McVay. So just keep that in mind. Just keep that in mind. Like, I'm not kidding. That's how bad he is. Like, no, because when he was at Memphis, because before Virginia Tech, he was at Memphis. He was the co-offensive coordinator. And then when the head coach of Memphis went to Virginia Tech, we took the worst offensive coordinator, and the other guy stayed. I don't know what happened there, but so I'm gonna see if I can bring. Yeah, so pretty much, yeah. You see that catch? Yeah, so he's kind of like a big play guy. Are you guys seeing this?
Yeah.
So you see how he kind of it's making these he's extending. He has the basketball skills.
Yeah, with the boxing out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and then he also does a lot of the gets open here, but he does a lot of the jets. He does. Yeah. So he does. Let me see. See. So he gets here. But you also see he also has good speed. So I'm just picturing someone like him on the other side of Rashad Bateman and Hollywood Brown and Andrews, and just seeing how multiple you could get. So to me, I think it's just preparing at this point. It's just preparing for the draft at this point, and then the contract discourse. I do want to bring up this thing here. The media, to me, I feel like the Ravens and Lamar are kind of getting more annoyed at the media because you have certain people trying to push their own narrative with It's like you have like Mike Florio saying, "Oh, he should go and get an agent." Like what were your thoughts on the media? What the media does, how they're discussing Lamar's contract. Are you annoyed? Or are you just not caring at this point?
I mean, the media is completely guessing because they don't have a source, right? Like normally they may know the agent, they may be able to reach out to him. Lamar's not saying anything, so they have no clue. So everyone is just blindly guessing, and they're guessing with what will get the most clicks. So they'll be saying things like, "Oh, I totally understand why Steve Biscotti and Eric DeCosta are hesitant to give Lamar Jackson a contract," or they'll say like, "Oh, the Ravens are really considering, that he may leave and stuff like that." And it's like, it's just a blind guess. And Lamar had heard enough of it. And he was like, "Yo, no, what are you guys talking about?" But it's just a complete guess. So I don't really get upset at it because nobody knows. And people are just trying to get as many possible reads or whatever it is that they monetize.
I mean, when it comes to the contract talk, for me, it really doesn't bother me. I'm just waiting for it to get done whenever it's going to get done. I'm pretty much on the same type of time Lamar's on. I'm gonna keep on working. I'm gonna keep on living my life. I'm gonna keep on doing me, having fun. Being as young and not as reckless as can be. But that's the type of time I'm on, and it's funny because it doesn't matter whether we're losing, whether we're winning, whether it's the off season, or whether it's the beginning of the season. The Ravens have now, found themselves being the talk of the town. So, I mean, honestly, I'd be glad when they stop talking about us, so we can just go back on that 0-30 mode, like my boy LeBron when he did, and start pulling out those dubs and get into the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and then I think Jalen with the comment here. Most people are trying to say he's either trying to hurry up and get paid, or he doesn't want to play for Ravens. I think, and I think that's kind of going to the point of, I think there's like for me, there's always like Lamar's always had that skepticism against him, and I think that they're always just trying to flip these narratives on him. But last topic, just something quick, just quick reactions on because the baseball season starting. I mean, Josh, what were your thoughts on Kimbrel, Craig Kimbrel, who getting traded to the Dodgers? Because that's a pretty solid move there.
So I heard about that. I don't know too much about him, so I gotta do some research. So I'm not going to talk about too much. I'm assuming that he's a real good guy. So I'm gonna just leave it as that. Let me do some research. Now, I'll get back to you guys. But if he's a real good guy, I'm all for it. And if it helps us beat the Braves, I'm definitely all for it.
Never.
I mean, at least you're like your teams are winning. I mean, the Orioles right now aren't like they're not good right now, but they do have one of the best farm systems in the game right now, and a lot I think they have like 5 or 6 guys in the top one. Like if you look at the top 100 list, they got 5 or 6 guys in the top 100. Like the number 2 prospect in baseball, Adley Rutschman, top pitching prospect, one of the best left-handers. The good thing is most of those guys are going to be up in the majors this year. So this year is more so of let's just get because they've been on like the placeholders. It's like let's just get those guys out of the way. Let's get these younger guys in there, kind of dealing with the Braves bringing in those younger guys. Kind of going with Tampa. That's pretty interesting. I mean, a few other notes in baseball. I mean, I found it a little ridiculous that the Yankees GM pretty much said that we could have been in the World Series, but the Houston Astros cheated or whatever. Like they cheated, but it's like that was the only reason why we haven't been in a World Series in about 10, 12 years. But at the same time, the Yankees are also fighting this decision from so the main story is that there is a letter that was sent from MLB to the Yankees. Basically, it was saying that the Red Sox did more sign stealing than the Yankees at a particular point in time. But apparently that wasn't true. And apparently the Yankees did do more, and MLB did cover it up, and the Yankees are pretty much trying to hide their sign stealing scheme. And then now the letter has to come out soon. Like it can't be redacted. Like other than people's names, this letter cannot be redacted. So we are going to find out soon whether they were sign stealing. So it's pretty interesting that they criticized another team for sign stealing a week or two before they might get busted. But yeah, we're gonna end the show on that note. Thank you guys for coming on. Yeah, thank you guys for coming on to the show. You guys recorded your podcast, your podcast yesterday, right? So you had the time,
Yeah.
Matthew. So you're gonna have to Thibodeau stuff. What was the third? Like, did you figure out what was the third one? I didn't catch that one.
It was just Matthew and Thibodeau, so we gotta hop back in the lab tomorrow, get some more stuff out. But
Hey, we got college play tonight.
oh yeah, college basketball, man.
Yeah, and then you guys, and obviously, people listening, they also do live. They live record on TTB every Wednesday at 7:30, and then McConaughey does a lot of a weekly, daily episodes. So follow their channel, and you'll see one of the more up to date Ravens news sources out there.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us on. It was a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
No problem. No problem. And if we need and if like closer to draft time, I might try to have you on depending on like the schedules and everything and how the topic works. But yeah, if you haven't followed TTB, follow them back, and I'll see you next week. Next week around this time with my normal with Hunter, and we'll see you then. All right.